thought this was supposed to be about new patients. So I came ready to talk about that. But before I talk about that, I want to tell my story. The year was probably 1971. I was driving a car that looks almost exactly like this. This has no engine in the front, has no seat belts, and the heater doesn't work until you get to where you're going, and I lived in Michigan. So one day I'm driving down the road, and I smashed this car into a pickup truck. And for about the next 5 years, here we go, this was me. I had headaches every single day. I was going through a bottle of this every single week. And during the ensuing 4 or 5 years, whatever it was, I developed hay fever allergies and other allergies that I had never had before. And then I met this guy. Turns out he married my cousin. Well, they've since divorced, but I got him in the divorce. He asked me a couple of questions. He asked me, what are you going to college for? And of course, I was about 3/4 of the way into a 4-year degree, and I had no idea what I was going to be when I grew up. Then he asked me the magic question, have you ever thought about being a chiropractor? Well, I had no idea what that even was until I met him. So I continued with my education another probably 7, 8 months. Go blue. Now here's the day where I made my decision that changed my life. I remember this day very clearly. It was Thanksgiving Day, got together with the family. John was just talking about what it meant to be a chiropractor. And I said, that's for me. 8 months later, I was at Life. Okay, now that's my chiropractic story. How long did it take for me to tell you that? You all have a chiropractic story. Tell your story. Now, there's a disease in our profession, a cancer, if you will. What's going on out there is this. 70% of Americans are taking at least one prescription. 20% of us are taking 5 or more prescription drugs a day. The average American is getting 13 prescriptions. Seniors are spending, on average, $600 a month on drugs. Antidepressant medications are currently the #1 class of drugs being prescribed. Now, you know all these wacko shooters, they're killing people? And the conversation is about, let's take all the guns. Almost every one of these shooters is on psychotropic medication. The guns are not the problem. It's the wackos who are taking these drugs that are doing the shooting. Take the drugs. 1 of every 6 Americans is on one of these medications. Here's one. 75% of all the drugs taken in the world, taken here in the United States. We're only 5% of the world's population. Yet we rank 47th in most measures of health according to the World Health Organization. And we currently rank 50th in the world in life expectancy. So the drugs aren't working. And that leads me to the cancer in our profession. Medicine functions out of a philosophy that goes something like this. Treat symptoms and hope that the cause will be corrected. This philosophy has gotten into most all of the other chiropractic colleges. It's ruling the world of healthcare that we live in. It is diametrically opposed to everything that chiropractic and we in this room stand for. And if it goes unchecked, unopposed, it will eventually destroy our profession. Name one other profession, one other business, one other enterprise that solves its problems by treating symptoms. Name one. That's like pulling the light on your dashboard when it goes on to warn you of engine failure in your car. It doesn't solve the problem. And yet this philosophy will destroy your career. If you don't become aware of this and get it out of your thinking, you very well may succumb to the seduction of this. You may somewhere along the line decide that this is the way it should be. This is evil. This is responsible for all those drug stats I just gave you. This is their answer. I love this picture, by the way, because that's what I think of when I see my patients coming in and they list all the drugs they're on. Medicine is the leading cause of death in the United States. According to Gary Null, have you ever seen his article? Look it up. Death by medicine. It's astounding. All right. Now that we've purged that from your mind, let's talk about new patients. First of all, what's the purpose of chiropractic? Is this it? I would submit to you that that's one purpose. How about this? Good? How about this? Yes. This? Certainly. How about this one? I like this one. Complete health and well-being for life. All right, here's my favorite. Heal the world. You know, we talk a lot about changing the world. Hitler changed the world. And it's okay to change the world as long as you're changing it for the better. But I think this is what chiropractic is. We're here to heal the world. And the world is really sick. What's your purpose? Write that down and keep that in your mind, because chiropractic is all of this. In my 36-year career, I've identified 9 ways to get the people into my office. You're going to want to write this down. Here's number 1, referrals. Best way of all time to get people in your door. Here's the second best way that I found. Dinner talks, lunch and learns, telling the story. Website advertising. Anybody here from Ann Arbor, Michigan? Okay, you're not practicing though, right? Okay, because if you're from Ann Arbor, I'm not going to tell you this next secret. AdWords is awesome. I get a lot of patients from that. But if I get a bunch of other chiros in Ann Arbor doing it, the cost goes way up, so don't tell my secret. Reactivations. Your old patients make the best new patients because they know they screwed up when they dropped out last time. Networking. Chamber of Commerce, here's your B&I, right? Aisha, is that her name? She said this. Mailings. Yes, people do read snail mail. In-office events, open houses. Screenings. Anybody here like to screen? Yes, we have a few. I personally hate it. I've done it, don't like it. Social media. I'm an old dog trying to learn this new trick. All right. So here is my ultimate new patient secret. All those other things are strategies, if you will. I want to get your purpose right. You got to get your head straight to attract people. You've heard this all weekend, the big idea. Does anybody know what that means? Has anybody explained it to you? Yes, no? All right. I did a search. I own 27 of the 36 green books on PDF. So I did a word search on the big idea to see what BJ said about it. Sounds interesting, right? So I looked through all these green books and I found this. All right. Why do I have a picture of Ford Field? Anybody here know what the Detroit Lions are? Besides pathetic. It is a professional football team in Detroit, Michigan that claims to play football. Anybody here know who Billy Graham is? Yes? Great evangelist. Attracted stadiums full, right? Okay. So my question is, what do the Detroit Lions and Billy Graham have in common? They can fill a stadium of 65,000 people yelling, "Jesus Christ!" All right. Now here's why I bring up Billy Graham. Dr. Sid used to tell a story about an article he read about Billy Graham. And the person who wrote the article asked, "What made you so successful?" And early in Billy Graham's career, he could fill churches. But he couldn't do this. When he accepted the scriptures in full faith, his ministry took on a new meaning, and all of a sudden, he could fill the stadiums. This is what the big idea is all about. Billy Graham got the big idea. When he accepted his calling in the scriptures and his mission in full faith, they just showed up in droves. So, here's the big idea, according to BJ. Number one, find the subluxation, right? Number two, adjust it. And then the third part is our philosophy. Given time, innate intelligence via its mental impulse supply, via nerves between brain and body, will rebuild sick organs to normal, and health is restored. Get the big idea. That's what this is all about. See how simple that is? It's not complicated. It's not drugs. It's not outside in. Get this. BJ said this, get the big idea, and all else will follow. Thrive, you'll thrive. You want new patients? You get this, you'll get new patients. You want wealth, health, happiness? Get the big idea. All else follows. Thank you.